Welcome to our very first patch update since the Sultans Ascend DLC was released. There's going to be plenty of balance changes for your favorite civilizations and maybe the civilizations that perhaps you've been struggling against that have been just a little bit overpowered. I'm going to be, of course, hotly anticipating some changes to the Byzantines, some changes to the Japanese, the Ayyubids, and Sushi's legacy. So make sure you stick around all the way to the end. As always, I will be updating all of my build order guides, putting up some new strategy videos and all of that jazz, of course, on the channel. So make sure you subscribe if you're interested in getting better at Age of Empires 4. And I will be live on EGC TV this Saturday casting the finals. So you should really make sure you tune in for that. Let's dig into this patch 9.1.370. We've got a lovely snowman in a mangonel being launched. I really hope there comes a day when this is actually something that can happen in game. Maybe seasonally, like mangonels shoot snowmen or pumpkins or whatever it might be. It would be super fun. Okay, so let's see what we've got. In the patch notes below, we previously mentioned a current in progress official mod called Free Camera. They're still working to roll this out and we'll share more. So it sounds like that's just an update that's down below. The festive season is in the air in Age of Empires 4. Today's minor patch, so they're calling this a minor patch, whatever that might mean. Join in the fun with our upcoming Tons of Toys seasonal event, chill out in the seasonal winter biome, or bring the heat to your opponent with the updates to the new civilizations in our recent expansion. I'm sure that's what you're going to be most looking forward to. Some of the highlights of the changes are going to include stability fixes for campaign and multiplayer, additional fixes to improve server latency, meant to pair with improvements made in recent server maintenances. I'm sure you've noticed some of those blips going on. Adjustment to the maps. Oh, please. I hope this includes sheep and some of these sacred sites. Several corrections to localization. Balance changes focused around the Japanese, Byzantines, as well as the variant civs, plus more fixes in future balance improvements. So let's get into it. What is all of this going to mean? Okay, so there's a seasonal event. Of course, you're going to have all your fun pixel points. You've got some new coat of arms, portraits, a bear for a new monument. So if you're into those things, there you go. Some new challenges that you can go through, but I'm not going to bore you reading through all of those items. A login reward as well. And new seasonal biomes. We're going to have a winter biome. So that'll be nice. Some nice snowy maps. I'll be looking forward to casting on that, of course. And it will be available in-game starting today. So there you go. You can go out, play with the snow. It's gonna be fun. I hope maybe we see that biome in the ranked pool. Would be fun. Hopefully it looks nice. Build spotlight, stability fixes. A number of compounding events led to server issues on the 18th and 19th. Since then, we've taken several steps to improve the latency and stability, including the previously communicated server maintenance on the 23rd and 29th. This patch also includes some game-side fixes meant to act in tandem with improvements already made to the server. So I think this is their very, very, very subtle way to address that the servers have been up for like the last month and they're trying to fix it. Some of it I feel like is a little bit inexcusable, quite frankly, like the fact that they released a brand new DLC and then servers are crashing, like somebody just forgot to scale them up, like this big release caught them by surprise somehow during a major sale and major content release. I think they should be held accountable for that. So I'm glad they address this a little bit, but frankly, I have been a little bit frustrated with the server stability issue. So I would like to hear from you in the comments what do you think about that? Because as a software dev myself, it just seems like very, very routine server maintenance things that a company like Microsoft should have a handle on. Map adjustments. Our most recent major update includes 3 new maps, while our expansion added an additional 10. Okay, several balance changes and bug fixes have been made on these and existing maps, detailed in maps later on. Okay. So localization, this is going to have to do with the translations. You probably notice if you're playing Age of Empires in non-English languages, there's all kinds of issues with the localization. So they've made some updates to that. So hopefully that is improved for you if you're playing with those settings. Balance changes with the 2 new civs and 4 variant civs. Most of today's balance changes are focused on the impact these additions have had on the gameplay. As such, there are more balance changes than typical for our minor patches. You can read more about these in the civilization specific changes section below. Looking forward to that. Gameplay. All updates fixed issues that prevented AI armies Okay, from merging, whatever. I typically don't cover all of the little AI changes. AI players, AI scouts, AI. So there's, oh, that's AI updates. It has all updates. Okay, we're going to move on there because I'm mostly focused on the multiplayer aspect. There's, you got something with art of war change, campaign crashes. There's always a few little campaign error fixes. Quick match, let's see what this is. Fix an issue which prevented players from joining the quick match queue due to their map downvote sections resetting when too many maps were selected. So if that's impacted you, there's a little fix for that. Okay, the menu. Fixed inconsistent codex naming conventions for new invariant civilizations. Fixed a number of inaccurate localizations. More localizations. Player scoreboard now displays the player's civ flags. Now this is actually kind of a major deal. You know, on the right side where it shows your names, it's going to actually show the flag next to it. So you know the civs you are playing as or against. This is a great update. Frankly, I would be more excited about it, but this was already available in all of the previous Age of Empires games. The fact that this was missing since launch day is kind of sad. So it's cool that they're adding this, but I mean, like two years later, congrats for adding a base feature from every other Age of Empires games. I'm glad we have it. Maps. General map changes. Fixed crash when trying to save loaded game while having some games save games from modded maps. Fixed a rare issue where neutral large gold deposits would spawn next to player's base on small sized dry Arabia. So very small changes on the maps there. Okay, map specific changes. I'm not really playing African waters right now. Archipelago, Baltic. I mean, these aren't maps that we're seeing in the map pool. I mean, canals in the ranked pool. Town centers on canal should no longer spawn submerged. Okay, that's good. Let's see. Golden Pit. Fix an issue on Golden Pit where large gold deposits were not spawning. Removed. Okay, neutral trade posts from Golden Pit and reposition. So there's no trade post. And reposition sacred sites to the outskirts of the pit. This is a big thing. Before, they were located behind the player's bases, meaning you essentially could not win a sacred site victory. So this is a very, very nice change. Really glad to see that being made. Good changes here for Golden Pit. Rocky River. On Rocky River, 5 berries spawn per player in a more contested and balanced way. So they just kind of changed the distribution in 2 fish instead of 4. Ooh, that's not a lot in those ponds. Is it worth making a dock for 2 fish per pond? That's going to be the question. Let me know what you guys think about that one. I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard to decide. Thickets. Fixed an issue where stone deposits could spawn too close to wood lines, preventing uvu placement. Yeah, that stinks. Reduce sacred sites from 3 to 2. Okay, change secondary site to be contested. So they're really working on taking feedback of making sure these sacred sites are always somewhere they can be contested. So those are the map changes. I didn't see any mentions about the sheeps, and I've thought the sheep spawns have been really messed up recently, or just lacking in general, or there's less sheep. Whatever it is, I have been having more issues getting sheep than ever before. I want to know if you guys have had any issues that would while you've been playing, but I wish maybe the sheep had been mentioned there, so maybe nothing changed. Balance and bug fixes. Trader production time increased, so they're nerfing trades. It's going to take 5 additional seconds to make a trader. Fixed an issue where relics could be duplicated using transport ships. That was a bug that people might have known about. Walls no longer generate gap fillers in space between the walls and individual trees. Walls will continue to generate gap fillers against dense forests. So I think this is supposed to be so villagers don't get stuck behind these wall fillers. We'll have to see how it behaves. Have you been having issues with the villagers getting stuck? I don't know. We'll see if this actually fixes it. I mean, this seems like probably going to be an ongoing issue, I'd imagine, the way they kind of change walls and the forest, but we'll check back in on that one, I guess. Fixed an issue where gates could be built overlapping enemy walls, allowing you to pass through. I didn't know you could do that. Fix some buildings with upgrades having the wrong appearance in Fog of War after being destroyed. And fix a crash that could occur when issuing or canceling a lot of commands at once. Not good to have. Siege updates for all the civilization. The Trebuchet. Counter-raid Trebs attack speed has been improved. So trebuchets are going to attack about just over a second faster, right? Yeah, from 12.6 to 11.3. So a second and a third, 0.3 math. And the same thing for the Mongol traction trap. So a little bit of a buff for the trebuchets. And then Culverins and Springalds both losing 10 of their ranged armor. So I think they're trying to make these easier to kill from range. So that's going to be the changes to Siege. Trebuchet buff and a little bit of a Culverin and a Springald nerf. Now, the meat and potatoes of what you're probably looking forward to. Civilization specific changes, and make sure you sound off yay or nay what you think. And these are just my initial reactions. Of course, everything here I'll have to test out. I'll have to actually play it. Sometimes things on paper don't always translate to when, you know, the actual gameplay, right? So the Abbassid, House of Wisdom. They corrected an issue where traders would not spawn when using the trade wing to feudal age. So small change there, but not much. Okay, you know my favorite civilization, the Byzantines. Let's see what kind of treatment our Byzantines are getting today. Starting stone has been increased from 50 to 100. Okay, that is a major buff for the early game for the Byzantines. That means you're going to get either those cisterns down, additional cisterns faster. You don't have to spend as much time gathering that stone. As well, it could help you into going into a 2TC play a lot easier. So that's going to be a pretty significant buff for the Byzantines. Imperial Hippodrome landmark. Starting triumph supply points has been reduced 30 to 10. So a nerf to triumph. Wow. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I do think triumph is very strong, but I feel like there's so many things lacking about Byzantines that this kind of is okay. Like the fact that this is going down is quite surprising to me. Quite surprising to me. Triumph avail of a duration also reduced 1 per second instead of 1.5, so a double nerf. The maximum number of triumph points has been increased, so that's a buff. So you can get 5 additional points total, but you start with 30 or 10 instead of 30. So I don't know. Feels like a net nerf to the Hippodrome. I mean, with the stone increase, does this mean the winery is now going to be the go-to landmark? Man, oh man, oh man. I'm going to be interested to see what you guys think about this. I don't want to call too early whether this has been a nail in the coffin for the Byzantines, but I've heard some people say they think this is good, some think it's bad. I'm definitely going to have to test these out. But let me know what your initial reaction is. What do you think about the Byzantines? I would have liked to see maybe a more concrete buff to them, but slight changes, we'll see. Greek fire projectiles no longer applies to non-trebuchet units, so that was a bug. Cataphracts have been nerfed by 20 in the Imperial Age. Well, I don't survive the Imperial Age most of the time when I'm playing Byzantines. I can't imagine they probably were pretty strong in the later stages, but I can also think about other civilizations that are equally have powerful stuff, so we'll see if maybe some of the other civs have received some nerfs, which I imagine they have, and reduce the amount of increased damage taken by trampled targets. So that's a kind of a double nerf there to the cataphracts. Charging units will no longer be stopped if they charge through a Harosophan's fire. That must have been a bug. Corrected issue where resources per minute would not appear on Byzantine's religious buildings with relics. Issue where the traders was generating more olive oil than intended. It is now 20% like the description. So that was a bug we kind of were aware of. Trade was kind of messed up. Fixed an issue with the Byzantines' military production. Modifier from cisterns was incorrectly applying to traders. So these were 2 bugs. And then now if you use the cheat, you could actually get olive oil. So there it is, guys. We've got a little, a Byzantine buff here, a nerf here, a nerf here. I really didn't want to see any Byzantine nerfs. So, of course, I'm a little biased. It's my favorite civ right now, but we'll have to try it out. We'll try it out. We'll see. I will wait to pass judgment on the Byzantine changes, but you can you could pass your judgment right now. Let me know. French Guildhall now is getting a major nerf. The stone regeneration rate nerfed by 50%. So no more smacking down 1,000,000 keeps, you French lamers. Japanese. I expect to see a series of nerfs for Japanese. Let's see what we see. Koka Township landmarks. This is for the shinobi. When using the Shunshin ability to teleport, it's no longer to teleport to the center of the map. So that was a bug. It can now be used to teleport on top of a stone wall. Targeting a stone wall directly no longer teleports the unit to the other side of the stone wall. So you can actually get on top of the stone wall. So pretty much just a little bug fix. Not a major change there. The Kura Stirhouse landmark. That's for the farms. Garrison's farm slots reduced from 8 to 4. And farm frequency reduced from 45 to 50 seconds. This is pretty major because this landmark's rather large. And if your villagers are on like the outside of this landmark, trying to seek shelter when a raid's coming can be quite deadly. I mean, a knight's going to come in and kill your villagers. And if there's only 4 slots, I mean, you're pretty much going to have to garrison like specifically the outside villagers separately. So this is a big hit for this landmark. Not going to lie. This is going to affect a lot of players. Maybe not some of the pro players or you know, a little bit players that have a little more control over their villagers, but that is going to have a bigger effect than you could imagine. The floating gates. So this is the Age 3 landmark with the Yoshiros. The Yoshiro sacred objects no longer spawn on the ground and cannot be dropped. Okay. If a Shinto priest holding a Yoshiro dies, the Yoshiro is destroyed. Whoa, so this is really changing. Upon completion of the floating gate, a Shinto priest holding a Yoshiro is instantly trained. All future Yoshiro are held by a Shinto priest when they are trained. So basically these Yoshiro only exist if they're in the hands of a priest when you train them. And then it has a rally point and you could set it on a building and it's going to put the Yoshiro in that building automatically. It is possible to rally point to multiple buildings to queue Yoshiro placements by subsequent Shinto priests. After depositing a Yoshiro, the Shinto priest remains available to use. A progress bar above the floating gate is now visible to indicate when the next priest will be trained. So basically, instead of training the Yoshiro, it's going to train these priests holding Yoshiro. And not only that, it's going to have a cap of 4. So no more of that like infinite gold putting Yoshiros inside of forges. This was very much needed. That was really out of control with the Japanese. And they changed the indicator so you can actually see where the Yoshiro have been garrisoned. If a building with the or Shinto priest with the Yoshiro is destroyed, the floating gate will resume production of Shinto priest. So you'll get it back if it's destroyed. The production time has been also reduced from 3 to 2 minutes. So that means you're going to get it faster. So that's a bit of a buff, right, for those first 4 sets. I don't know. Maybe this is a net buff for the early part. It's a nerf for the later game, right? Place Yoshiro tooltip has been helped as well to explain this. Okay, so big changes to the Age 3 landmark for the Japanese. I mean, look how many bullet points there are. Let me know what you think about that. I think it's appropriate. The passive gold generation was absolutely overtuned with the Yoshiro. So I think that's a much needed nerf. Let's see what else is going on here. Castle of the Crow landmark. So this is what brings the treasure caravans. Fixed an issue where the treasure caravans were rewarding too few resources on each trade trip when converting between land and sea. Treasure caravans no longer get stuck trying to embark or disembark when they reach the shore. So just kind of some bug fixes there. Okay, the one you're probably most looking forward to, the Takashima gunsmith landmarks. That was what made the Zutsu was freaking crazy before. Let's see what they've done. Starting stockpiles reduced from 5 to 2. So that's a pretty big nerf. Then the Ozutsu, what are you doing? Melee armor has been reduced from 4 to 0. And the base damage reduced from 35 to 28. Now this sounds like a major nerf, but let's be honest. I think it was a bug before. The Ozutsu had 4 ranged and 4 melee armor. They essentially had no hard counter, which was pretty freaking crazy. So now essentially it's saying, hey, if you get horsemen up on this thing, it's going to counter, which makes sense, right? Every other ranged unit is weak to melee generally. So that makes sense and it's more consistent. And then, yeah, the damage is definitely significantly less. So this is going to be tuning down this landmark quite considerably. I even wonder if we might see more Castle of the Crows coming out. I still think this landmark's still going to be pretty good. It's still free gunpowder units in the Imperial Age, but it's no longer going to be a GG option. So good to see this change for the Japanese. I'm sure Japanese mains won't enjoy some of these double nerfs, but there's been a lot of crazy stuff about the Japanese, quite honestly. Cricket had an issue with the garrison arrows from the Japanese town centers had more range than intended. Yeah, that was a bug with the town centers. So all the town centers for all civs will be consistent now with this correction. And the samurai bannermen. Corrected an issue where a dropped banner aura would stack with Umar bannerman auras. Yep, torches no longer receive damage increases on the UI from the katana bannerman and Uma bannerman. Okay, the Ana Bagisha. They no longer lose access to field construct siege towers. Oh, great. When mixed selection. There you go. Make all the siege towers you want. It's not going to help you out, but there you have it. The Ana Bagisha can now garrison into transport. So that was a bug. Fix that with those Ana Bagisha. So you should like that. And flip the samurai icon in the barracks to better distinguish it from the Ana Bagisha. A lot of Japanese changes, pretty much all nerfs. So Japanese mains definitely going to be sad about that. But I mean, anyone self-reflecting should probably realize Japanese was pretty crazy in some of these regards. I personally think I've played a considerable amount of Japanese. All of these nerfs are very in line with what I think needs to change about the civilization. The Malians. Malian cattle food per minute generation range is reduced. Oh, thank God. The Muvu is so freaking strong right now. That's the passive food generation they get. So bringing that down just a hair. Nothing major, but I think that's appropriate. Malians are very, very strong with that passive food generation. The Ottomans, the Great Bombard, finally gets a bit of a nerf. Pop has been increased from 3 to 4, so you can't have as many of those mass bombards, you fast imperial enjoyers. Okay. Variant civilization changes. These are only for the variant civs, and yeah, we already know. Okay, the Ayyubids. I expect to see some nerfs for the Ayyubids. Everybody knows this civ has been cracked. Let's see what they've done. The House of Wisdom. Age up time increased by 15 seconds. Wow. So that's a significant nerf to age up time. Military wing reinforcements. Removed initial delay on training desert raiders. So you're going to instantly get those. I guess because they age up slower, you train those, they now remove the delay. Okay, and it looks like they fixed the issue on Xbox where the siege units could not be constructed by Cav after building the military wing reinforcements. The Bazaar. This is the wing that needs the most changes. What have they done? Gold cost of each trade increased. Okay. Up 25, up 25, up 25. Resource trade values increased. 2225, up to all of these, up 25. Villager trade option removed. Okay, so now it's pretty much resources or military, right? If you're not getting villagers. I guess you can still get traders. And the number of available options per trade cycle reduced from 5 to 4. Okay, that is a number of changes to that bazaar. I really got to think about this and try this now. It's more expensive. I don't feel like that's that much more expensive. I mean, I think the biggest thing is the villager scaling was what was extremely strong about the bazaar. Being able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 villagers from a trade, it was just crazy. You would stay on par with people who went 2 TC. So losing that, going to be massive for this landmark. And this is a civilization I was very excited about originally, but a little bit bummed that they were so overtuned. So I might have to give them a try again. The Ayyubids are fair and back on the menu. We'll see. We'll see. I'm sure they're still plenty good, but that age up time plus this going to be pretty significant. Culture wing. Let's see. Reduced improved healing, 50 to 30. I don't think anyone's using that a ton. Not a big deal. Mass heal granted by the Imperial Wing. Properly benefits from 30% improved healing. That doesn't do much for me. Dervish HP has been reduced significantly. Wow, that's their monk, right? The Cambulance. Tower of the Sultan, build time reduced. Hey, yeah, it took a long time to build. 40 seconds. That's pretty significant. So maybe we'll have some more Tower of Sultans. I love this unit. It is so cool. So I'm very happy to see a siege tower buff anytime. Infantry support technology improved. Oh, wow. 2-2 to 3-3. That is pretty significant. Plus, especially in the later stage of the game, more armor from the infantry support. Wow. That is pretty big. Tier 4 Golden Age now properly decreases the cost of siege built in the field. Oh, so it wasn't doing that before. Okay, guys. A lot of nerfs here for the Ayyubids. Let me know what you think about those. Does it bring them in line? Are they going to be a fair civilization to play now? Okay, next up, you know it. Jeanne d'Arc. What have they changed? Please be some nerfs. Joan's experience gained from killing boar reduced from 50 to 25. So 25 less experience. That's pretty significant as far as the boar killing goes. The champion's armor reduced 4-4 to 3-3. Thank God. I mean, so trying to kill these in the Dark Age was next to impossible. So This will be nice. This will be quite nice, I think. Okay, Red Palace landmark. Reduce damage of bonus in placements on keeps. Okay, towns from 60 to 40 to match the French. And bonus in placement range reduced from 10 to 9.5 to match the French. Guildhall, we already talked about this. 50% less stone. Tooltip, reflect actual behavior. Reduce the starting experience of Jeanne d'Arc on Empire Wars. Okay, big deal. Correct an issue with the French influence system was referenced in a few building tooltips. The Jeanne d'Arc variant civilization. So really in the early game, the only changes is 25 less HP. These champions, I mean, those are significant nerfs. I still feel like her experience and like how quickly she gets back those abilities to like half health all your units is pretty significant. I mean, 25 experience, yeah, that's a little bit of a hit, but she's still going to get that just slaughtering your units like she usually does. I'm not sold that this is enough of a nerf to her. I think it's also going to be really problematic and hard to balance when it's such an identity for the civilization. I think it's going to be a difficult thing to balance. I think she's still going to be a menace and perfectly good, but just a little bit slightly less crazy with these champions. So I'll take what we can get. I don't think it's enough personally, looking at like what we saw Japanese go through, but I think it's just difficult with the way they designed the Civ. It's going to be a harder thing down the line. Order the Dragon. Okay, we expect some buffs, right? Starting wood increased 150 to 200. Hey, that ain't too shabby. An extra 50 wood. Okay. Golden Caress technology reduce damage reduction now activates at 30% instead of 20%. Okay, it's a little bit of a buff there. That was a unique tech for like when your main arms were down on HP, right? Now is when they get the 30%. Christian issue where weapon range of Gilded Archer would be reduced after researching incendiary arrows. Yeah, I'm not convinced this is enough. I feel like they could still use a little more something. This just doesn't feel right to me. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna have to ask my brother. You know, Fitz here has been playing Order the Dragon. Is this enough to bring them into power? Gives them a little bit of tempo. This is probably the biggest thing, but I'm not quite convinced. Zushi's legacy. The Sushi legacy. Shaolin Monastery. Okay, you guys know these things have to get the Nerf hammer, right? The monks are no longer selected together when double clicking. Oh, and monks. Okay, whatever. Their ranged armor reduced from 2 to 0. Thank God. So, you know, you look at these things, they've got like no armor, yet they had all this armor, even though all they were just wearing was like togas. So no more ranged armor. They now display a buff indicator when activating the body of iron. So I think they're making them a little bit more counterable there. So probably appropriate. The texts at the Mount Blue Academy landmark are now properly marked as unique. Okay. Sushi's library landmark, Imperial Guard. The damage reduced. Look at that, from 35 to 28. This unit was so freaking crazy. That's a major nerf. There's only Imperial Age though. Health reduced by 10. Melee armor has been increased by 4. And ranged armor decreased by 3. So it looks like it's a little more melee armor, less ranged armor. I think overall, a net nerf to the Imperial Guard, probably appropriate. This unit was pretty crazy. Fixed issue with Lancers and Imperial Guard would both be selected when double clicking on either unit. There's a quality of life change. Okay, and that's really going to be our balance changes. It says ongoing issues, known issues, doesn't list them. It says report things. As always, you can click this, you can report things. What's on the horizon? Planning on the next minor patch to be released in 2024, late January or early February. So that means our next patch isn't going to be till the end of January at the earliest, early February. So typically we see like week 1 of the month. So we've got a good month. It's kind of 2 months. Honestly, but maybe a little bit shorter. You know, I'll just share my personal opinion on the release cycle. I was a little bit disappointed with the DLC being launched, that some of these minor tweaks that we're seeing in this patch today didn't come out a little sooner. I know it's only a few weeks since launch, But a lot of these items, frankly, were definitely flagged to the dev team earlier on. Content creators had earlier access. And I know there's a lot of, I think, red tape around how fast they're able to get these patches out. But like the definition of a hot fix isn't 3 to 4 weeks after something is changed. So like I wonder how many players have already been discouraged by a few of these broken things like Joan of Arc, Byzantines being kind of wimpy, sushi monks. Like I wish some of these changes could come out a little bit faster when appropriate. It's like we knew DLC was coming out. Scale up the servers, maybe plan a little hot fix the week or two after the DLC is launched. That would be cool. And then I'd be a little more content with saying, like, now we know next patch not coming till end of January. Like, we know that. But I think a little bit more diligence on when there's some like majorly broken things would be nice. It stinks we have to wait sometimes like almost a month to tweak a few values. Like I understand like changing gameplay is harder, right? But overall, excited. I think this is a great balance patch. Byzantine's going to be fun to try out the changes for them. I mean, Japanese and Ayyubids brought in the line as well as sushi a little bit. We'll see how it plays out. I feel like the Zugdu strategies are still going to be very, very strong with Sushi's legacy. So kind of surprised not to see any changes there, frankly. But let me know, guys, what balance changes do you think they nailed and what did they maybe miss? I hope to catch you in my next live stream on twitch.tv/FitzBro, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. It helps me out when you leave your comments. I've got plenty more videos for you to check out, so scroll around, take a look at some of my guides, and I hope you join the conversation in my Discord, link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.